First crucial piece here is identifying the ranges, right? So like when we are back testing these ranges, and this is all a part of range resetting, we have to identify where the ranges exist. So we're going to start this on the highest time frame, and we have to say, okay, here's a range, greediest level. Here's a range, greediest level. Here's a range, greediest level. Just like it would be like this, right? Range here, range here, range here. This right here, possibly one higher time frame range. Like if I was on the weekly, I would assume that might be a higher time frame range. Yeah, so always be aware of that. And it's also why we don't work smaller time frames up. So actually, if we were to remove all of these brush strokes, if we work up in time frames, that's kind of the first flaw we create, right? So one range here, one final hold level. One range here monthly, one final hold level. We're not going to go too far into time frames up here because it defeats the purpose of why we're looking at this 95.68 level. But we do have to identify, okay, weekly, range here, don't need that. We're not even close. Range here, 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 here. So this right here, I would start to look at this as the bottom of that range. So what I would do is I would say, okay, we've got, where's the greediest level on the range, right? Like you first have to identify where the range is, right? So if we're doing that from two small time frames, you kind of constantly create this problem where you're not only missing information, but you're creating the wrong architecture if you look at small time frames and up. So instantly, you had asked me, oh, where's the 5-minute level? Just right on, the first one I picked on my screen. Just instantly what I pick is this because, I'm pretty confident that's what you're talking about before I'm even told, because it's just kind of obvious. It's right in front of your face, right? Like, okay, well, there's a level. But I would say to you, great level, where's the range, right? So then you get back into this hunt for the ranges. So really identifying that, okay, here's a range here. So this is going to hold up the entirety of the move, just as if you were to create a ladder, right? Here's a range here. So really one of the key nuggets here of information is identifying the range and what is possible within that range, which all comes back to what's called range resetting. So I would start here and say, okay, you have an independent range here, which is back testing the backside of this, right? Or whatever level it's testing in there. Really, the level it's testing is irrelevant here. But anyways, fine. That tests its hold level, creates the next range. And it's going to come down here like this and touch this. And that will be like this. That will make this range here just shift here, because all these hold levels inside of here, they will be no longer relevant. They're not important, right? So you can see kind of how the flow of these ranges and what they're doing is being created, right? So we can kind of get rid of these, I would then go to my next time frame here and say, okay, well, this is clearly the range here. So really you have to say, what's the greediest part of this range? Like where's the greediest entry on this range, and start working backwards from there to find this. So you do have something like this right here, which is tested, obviously this is the 1 hour here. It's probably actually a 15-minute level there. I don't think it's quite the hourly. So you kind of have all these back tests, right? Meanwhile, realizing, okay, you've got the range down here. So where can you build your expectations off of that range? So as we go through this thing, and we're just going to skip to some lower timeframes here, because we are right here, for example, here's our 95.41 level that we took. That was perfect. So really, in this moment, you've got the thinness of a move, right? Like you've got a move that's thin here, but more likely going to go to this level here. So this becomes a question of, okay, if we go back in here and take a look at where these ranges exist. And again, this is all part of range resetting. So if you go in here and look at, okay, where do these ranges exist? You can start to quickly see how low can it go, right? If you can see where it can possibly go, you can assume it's going to go there. And this is going to be that moment of clarity again, right? Like this is kind of that final untested level, because everything back here, like we've done this work in the past to see that all these, whatever's in here in these ranges, it was already tested. And, if we have to go do it again, we can simply go to where this range starts. Okay. And you can just say, where's the greediest level? Okay. This is where the range starts. So what can hold this up to ladder it? Because even if we were to go out to, and we're just going to go like this, and we're just going to say, oh man, this is where the range starts, and this is where the greediest level is. Heck, we could do all this crazy stuff over here for the next, I don't know how many, whatever, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Eventually we can come down to 93, and guess what that can do 5 weeks later? It can create, it can create our final trend in the move, which will give us our final hold. So really, it doesn't matter when this is going to get tested. The fact is that it's going to be tested. 93.83, which is a trade that had been taken by. So like it's just a really great level to take. And then so you're left with perfect level, holding up the entire range, right? You're holding up the entirety of the range on a perfect level and giving you your next piece of the range, which is 94.51. So realize this level and this level is the same exact level. So when you're saying, why didn't it hold up this one and why did it go after that one? Well, this is why, because it can go after that one because it's the next greediest part of the range. But this is no longer relevant anymore. This is tested. It's not an untested level. This is gone, right? And then we can look at this and say, oh, here's our 5-minute level. Oh man, that's such a great level. Well, why didn't it hold? For the simple fact that it's not the greediest level in the range. So your move is a lot thinner here. So when you're comparing these two levels and you're saying, should I buy here or should I buy down here? Well, first off, you're going to get liquidated if you buy this. It can bounce, but again, it's thinner on the move. So it's one of those positions where, although it is a hold level, I would almost think that you would probably be blindsided taking this level because you probably already tested this range on another time frame. And you have a test right there. And now I'm working up in time frames, which is just highly confusing, not conducive to finding the right information. We have to start by seeing where's the highest time frame that has a hold level, and it's here. It's the 15-minute. Okay, well, I wonder if that's, or 30 minutes. Sorry, I wonder if this is tested. The 15-minute is right here. That's the hold level. So it is tested. So you're trying to buy the greediest point of an already tested range. So when we actually go and do range resetting and finding these ranges, part of it is understanding where the ranges exist on the top and bottom. And we see the ranges and where they truly exist by going to the highest time frame down. Like right here, for example, what are we on, the 4-hour? Well, let's mark this and see if we're wrong. Now, we might be right. This might be the correct level, but let's just see if we're wrong, if we moved up in time frames. Actually, you know what? In order to do that properly, we have to identify the range. So we're saying it has two ranges, one here and one here. Let's move up in time frame. Yeah, you could classify that as two ranges, but then your price is off because you should actually be starting up here. You should be like this. And then if we go up one time frame, it's actually just one range. So now you have a different hierarchy of information that you would get because you would start here and you would find the greediest point from here, right? Actually, it would be from here because there's two candles. So if we do kind of these shortcuts, right? And I wonder if we would be given a different level. Well, we'd still be given this, but we can't use that. But we know it's before this point here. No, it's before this point here, and it's that point there. So you have kind of an origin over here. You have this right here, which is the same candle. So that's okay. I don't think you'd see that on the. No, you wouldn't. Would you see it on the 12? Would you see anything on the 12? Yeah, you have a pretty good level on 12 right there. So actually, your level is right here, 86 or 88.64. So you do have a greedier piece of this range, but really, when you are looking at this and you're saying like, okay, well, why didn't the 5-minute hold? Well, first off, the range is already tested. So if that's tested, that means it has to be up here, which means it's already tested back. So it has to be there. So you can see this is holding there. Let's just press play here. It's already losing this level, right? Like it's already losing this level, which was tested back here already, which is testing your 15-minute back right here, I believe, on the 15-minute level, which is right here. And this would be okay as a level if this was the greediest part of the range, but you've got a tested range with a range below it that makes more sense. So then you let this move come to fruition and see where can it go. And it goes to your level perfectly because you were able to identify polarization in the move, right? Like this is that level where if this had lost it in the moment, guess where it's going? It's going way the heck down, right? Like it's going to fall through this move like hot knife and butter, as they say, or it's going to bounce right off of it because it's at that extreme polarity moment because this one was already tested back here, right there and right there. So you have a 5-minute level here asking why it goes straight through. It's simply too thin to support the move when you still have another 1.5% down. Like you have 1.2, this is 122% down to the next level on a range that's already tested. So although the 5-minute looks great, there's a much deeper part of the range it can go after. So I don't know if it makes sense to go after that level with the testing it already had on a higher time frame. Doesn't make it a terrible level. It just means like, yeah, don't be surprised when it goes straight through it. just simply for the fact that it can. And it had already polarized itself up in here. Like if I trail this move through, you're going to see test there, test here, test here. Yeah, I don't think there's any test left. You have this here. So really getting into, if this is breaking, getting into this short right here would have been like the best thing you could do from the greediest point on whatever time frame, right? Yeah, you don't have anything there. You have this here. Right there. Oops. Right there. This would have been like a great spot to get into it. I don't think there's anything deeper. There's this right here. I'm not sure if it reached there, but yeah, that would have been like the perfect point to get into it when you break your trend. So I'm sure there's some kind of interior trend here that breaks. This guy here. I don't know what the biggest time frame here is that you can find this on, possibly a 15-minute, and then the 15-minute hard closes. So like, come on, is the magnet tool not on? There to there. I would even say it's more likely this one here on the even higher time frame, but this would have been another interior trend, so that's fine. We can use this one, and then so you lose this, and you know you're holding whatever hold level is in here. You probably would have missed entry, but also you could have seen that polarity right here, because once you lose this level, it's like, remember, you polarize moment and your trend. Those are your shields. So you've lost the level, you've lost trend, and whatever the final hold level, which would have been right here in the move, once you lose that, like everything else is gone below. So part of range resetting and why this 5-minute level is not a good level becomes it's deeper inside of the range, right? It's got a much better level, much deeper. That's a lot greedier. It's a thin position to take. That would be a good way to think of it too. This 5-minute level is a thin position when it can possibly drop another 1.5%. Hey, if this thing could have only dropped another 0.2, it might not have been so bad. You probably would have seen something like this. You probably would have seen one bounce, comes up, hits an inverse, goes down, right? If this level down here, in fact, let's say it was all the way right here, you might have seen something like this, hits here, comes down, hits this level here, comes back up, and then moves up, right? So not such a bad trade to take if you're only 0.2 or 0.3 away, and you're not going to get liquidated if it goes down to the greediest point. But when you have a 1.2% gap between these two levels, there's a good reason why not to buy this level. There's too much below to be lost. It almost looks like more of a short because there's just such a huge gap in this. You could almost just short this right here, and it's just such a huge gap in this move that, it's too thin. It's too thin to take, that's for sure. And now we are going to go through range resetting kind of a little differently. Let's take the replayer tool off. This is going to be straightforward and tie into what we just talked about. Range resetting is the way in which we identify ranges, right? To see those pieces. And range resetting is where we take any piece, like I showed you guys just now, any piece, and start to identify the ranges of where something is and can be. Like, these are all ranges in the move. And we do this on the highest time frame to see the most relevant level. So if I was doing this, I would say, okay, here's this right here. And the ones that are going to be adjusted, I am going to turn orange for this example, and I'm going to make them dashed. So this has to change because it has already too much noise going through its range. So it can't be the level. So let's mark another one here. This is tested, so it can't be this level. So these are the ones that it can't be inside of this range. This is tested. It can't be that level, right? What it could be is this right here on another time frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this one right here, and we are going to change this to green. Let's go this kind of green right there, and let's change these ones to orange. Ones that it can't be, we're going to change to orange, right? Like where range can't exist. So where we have to do work in the future. About this one here. This it can be. So we're going to leave this one green, and we're going to make this solid. So it can be this can be a level here. Oops, not that. Did the wrong one. I'm going to make this solid. So this can be a range that we use. This can be a range that we're going to adjust. Okay. This clearly can't be a range. Like we're going to turn this orange, both of these orange, right? Because it's tested there on this time frame. We're going to go orange like this and make this dotted like yay. Like that. And we are going to take this one and copy this over because this one you can see clearly can be a range, and this has got to go orange as well. So these are your ranges, and these are like where they can and can't be used. So anything in orange can't be used. So let's talk about each one. This one can't be used because you can see there's internal testing in here. There's internal testing on different timeframes. However, we can use this to start working through to find where the range is. So instead of this being the level, what we can do is we can move it to here and say, okay, here's the range in here. You can actually move it to right here to find the range in there. So we can adjust it from this point here down to here to say, okay, there's a range somewhere above this that exists. This one is already tested. So you would have to move this down to here to see if there's anything left inside of this range that's untested. This one is the same thing. Now this can have, this one's a little different because there can be a test from here to here, right? Just these ones can all have that same test, but notice these ones are already tested. So you can't say it's from the top of this candle to the bottom of this candle. That can't exist here. However, this one can. So your range is somewhere inside of that. This can't be. There's some already testing. So we have to take this and just delete it. Just like this can't be here. There's already testing in there. So we just have to take that one and delete it and start from this and work back and start from this and work back to identify these ranges in here, right? Same with this one here. Can't be that. Can it be somewhere above this? Yes, but it can't be from that point to this point here, but it has to be somewhere above this. So you have a bit of work to do inside of each of these to see where that range can exist, right? Because you can see this is tested there, this is tested there, this one's not, so it can exist here, it can exist there. This one's not, so this is completely free and unencumbered, right? So this is part of understanding the way ranges work and range resetting. As we go in here, that's not supposed to be a different color. What color did I use? I think it was this one. It doesn't matter. As long you just know that this is supposed to be the same color as this one here. Okay, we'll do it the proper way. We'll copy paste. There we go. So now we've identified kind of what hasn't been tested in a range, and we have to do this from the highest time frame down, and we have nothing in here to do. So there's nothing here to do, right? So then we are going to go down to our next time frame and say, okay, let's start from back here where the range can't be. So we go and we say, can it be here? No, it cannot. You can see that's tested, right? So it can't be here. So you have something in between here that could possibly be untested, like the greediest piece. So you guys can see how this trail is working. And we're just going to do this one here. And so you can say, oh, it can't be this. Obviously it's not, it's on the 4 hours. So then we go to a 1 hour and we say, can it be this? No, that's tested. So it has to be somewhere above this, right? Like you can see that's there. It has to be somewhere here. This stuff is relatively tested, I'm sure, on another time frame. So you kind of have to be here. I would wonder even if you have anything here. Can't really be this. It's not that. So it kind of has to be somewhere inside of here was where that range exists, right? Like we are diving deep to find this range right here. 5 minute right there. Can't be this, right? That's already tested. You can see how we found this range though, right? Like there's not a lot of confusion about how to find this. It's simply working through your time frames to find where the level is. And this is not tested, but I have the 5 minute here that doesn't really have any noise by it, right? So it couldn't be this one for obvious reasons. That's tested. This is the next level that's not tested. So this is the highest time frame of piece of the move. So I've worked from the highest time frame down to find where that hold level could be right here, 46.48. So you found where that hold level is going to be polarized in the move because it's the final piece. And you could even possibly have something down here, actually. If we were to look down there, there might be something down here. I don't think there is. Actually, I've done this move before. There's nothing down here. It all starts inside of this. And you can see here's the range. There's the level. This is the range. This is all tested. And the only piece that's moved up so fast, the only piece was down here. So actually, the question wouldn't be, do you test inside of this range? The question would be, do you continue to hold this level over time? So whatever hold level is back here, that hits here, that would be more the question. If you lose this level, you see if you can hold this, right? So it's not a question of, oh, where's the range in here? Because I've done the work in this one. There's no range in here from memory. I don't think I'm wrong, but well, let's just double check. 15 minutes. There is actually, there's one right there. So I was wrong. Okay, so it's good that we actually ended up doing it because, you know, this is going to be polarized from this moment to this moment here. So there's, you know, $600 gap there between levels. So you have on a larger time frame actually two different ranges here. So we actually have to make another one. Good thing we did that work.